Alliance.
Another top laner. Wickd has played that Kayle in the past. We've seen her mid, we've seen her top multiple times. I want to just contrast quickly the faces of Alliance today in comparison to Super Hot Crew yesterday. This is stern and focused.
Twisted Fate. Cassidy was banned out. It leaves Yasuo open. Jax is open. Of course, you've also got Renekton open, and there is the Lee Sin you were talking about. Svenskeren is going to be the one to lock that in, and Morgana, who has been banned out quite regularly, will be picked up by nRated.
So the question for me, do Alliance go for their bottom lane, potentially locking in Thresh Lucian, Braum Lucian, Nami Lucian? It is a possibility for Tabzz. Tabzz could also go Caitlyn if he wants to, and he's been doing a very good job with Caitlyn in recent weeks, you know, especially on 4.10. The Lee Sin lock is not too surprising for me, but my wonder is, does Shook go Evelyn and just play that sort of split push gank with Twisted Fate combination? Or does he want to play a different jungler and surprise everybody? Definitely taking their time on the side of Alliance.
Well, top lane Lulu is what we saw from Wickd yesterday. It is a possibility in there. Evelyn, you would feel, would be the fallback champion for Shook. Of course, with Elise being banned out. Jarvan has been picked up by a number of people, but Shook has yet to show that one as far as I remember.
Yeah, you know, Shook has really been sticking to the sort of trifecta of champions. 9 games on Lee Sin, 5 games on Elise. This will only be his 2nd game on Evelyn if it gets locked in. And in terms of the duo, in yesterday's composition, Alliance ran Caitlyn and Zyra as their duo lane. And the Zyra was primarily to deal with a very aggressive, in-your-face dive set of champions. And that is a very quick lock-in from the SK side.
But that is a Caitlyn choice over a Lucian choice. Orianna also being locked in. Maybe Jesiz thinks he can go for that record, but Kog'Maw gets picked and locked by Tabzz alongside Nami.
So a lot of late game damage. There's a decent front line with Evelyn and the Lulu combination, in addition to the disengage power that Nami offers. This is something we touched on in the pregame, is how important the ability to disengage can be. What I like about Alliance's comp is they can impact side lanes very effectively with the Evelyn and the Twisted Fate combo. For SK, with Renekton, with Lee Sin, they're going to be looking to get in your face and get ahead as early as possible.
Well, Freddy pulling his 100% win rate on that Renekton on the line here up against Alliance. Does give him a champion he knows full well. The question is, will they be buddy system in their jungle? It looks to me like I think that's what they're going to go with.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is something that Alliance may be slightly more inclined to go towards, and the reason I say that, if they go for the buddy system, SK's got the opportunity to try and push lanes quite quickly. With the Caitlyn and her long range very early on, she can punish towers in those lane swap scenarios. In addition to having that Renekton and Lee Sin, who are great at the early stages of the game, I feel SK are the ones with the priority to make early moves, because they're going to have a power spike at an earlier stage than Alliance will.
Well, we'll see how this one works out, ladies and gentlemen. Now that you've seen the picks and bans, do you still think Alliance will win it? 84% of you did before. Tweet hashtag AllWin or hashtag SKWin to @LOL Esports. We'll check out the results shortly. Twisted Fate, of course, picked up by Froggen once again.
Yep.
A very successful champion for him over the last few weeks.
And he pulls gold cards every time he ganks.
Yesterday
without
was scary.
Fail. Without fail. We had a fantastic tweet saying he couldn't use the football skin because he never pulls red cards unless he intends to.
Doesn't send anyone off.
No, definitely not.
Good guy Froggen, after all.
The one thing that I do like about SK's comp is it has the ability to punish Alliance's composition in the early stages of the game. Lulu needs time to ramp up. Twisted Fate needs time to ramp up. Kog'Maw needs time to ramp up. So while they're on that ramping, it's up to SK to make the plays.
Let's see how they do climb that ramp. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Blue team starting out as Alliance, the current #1 team, and they have a 2-0 record over SK Gaming, who are going to be starting out as the red team. We'll see whether we have any level 1 plays. Obviously a difference between the two top laners. Doran's Ring, of course, versus the Doran's Shield. Expected. But I want to see how they're going to start this level 1 fights.
Yeah, and very importantly is how Alliance handle the protection of Tabzz. If you look, you're going to have Glitter Launch, you're going to have Wild Growth, of course, and the disengage from Nami. But if Renekton or Lee Sin manage to deliver that command attack and dissonant shockwave combo onto Tabzz, there is a very real possibility of him getting blown up super early on in those fights. And that's what SK will be looking to do. For the time being, neither team has gone for any sort of aggressive or even defensive wards. All trinkets, with the exception of Wickd's, are available, and we need to watch for the next 30 or 40 seconds. It looks like it's going to be a standard defensive start to the game.
Yeah, nobody going too aggressive early on, 1 minute 10, so a long time before the buffs even spawn. You can see Froggen still hanging around in that death bush just off the side. Shook is keeping Jesiz occupied, just out of vision, of course. He's stealthed up as Evelyn to see whether it's looking like they want to go for that red invade alliance, but I don't think it's going to work out for them because there is a ward in place. It will spot them coming early. And you can see Svenskeren and Freddy are already in place waiting.
Yeah, so nothing exciting going to happen in the early stages of the game. But I do, I'm casting my mind back to, I think, an SK versus Super Hot Crew game where they also ran a Renekton and a Lee Sin combination, also on the red side of the map. And in that matchup, I was worried about SK's mid to late game scaling opportunities or abilities. No, it was Gambit actually. And they just played so aggressive after the 15 or so minutes. They got like 1 or 2 key items and then just started challenging over and over and over and picking as many fights as possible in their opponent's jungles. I want to see if they're going to do the same thing with their comp.
You can see a couple of SK fans have woken up, but it's still 69% to Alliance in the vote. So you guys feel that, of course, Froggen on that Twisted Fate have got the edge. We'll see how it works out. Nyph taking a good pilt over Peacemaker from Candy Panda there. Didn't catch any minions with it, so he just did the full max damage on him.
Yeah, it's actually very important to note that Nyph and Tabzz arrived late to the lane. So Candy Panda and nRated are going to have a experience lead as well as a CS lead for these first few levels. But you do somewhat expect that. The very long range of both Morgana and Caitlyn against the lower range Kog'Maw without his Bioarcane Barrage means they can punish. They can use those headshot procs. Luckily, though, as long as Nyph has mana, he can sustain through much of that poke.
Well, they know the exact amount required to make sure those CS aren't missed. And that keeps them both hitting level 2 as well. Happy to push out. Shook, of course, double buffed up, as well as Svenskeren. No early invades from them. Tabzz going a little bit aggressive and putting some good damage down on Candy Panda.
Very, very good trade. Tabzz, with the attack damage bonus from Nyph and his obvious Bioarcane, which is now free on Kog'Maw, just gets all of the range and trades evenly. Candy Panda has burned through his potion and there's no more sustain in this lane. So if he does take more of those trades from being slightly overextended, he's obviously going to fall further and further behind. The other lanes, I mean, Jesiz and Froggen appear to just be trading quite evenly.
Finally a red card from Froggen. Not sure if he wanted a gold then, but he pulled a red nonetheless.
I would theorize it helped him with last hitting and farming. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I'm not sure. You're being far too gracious with these pro players. At the moment it is Jesiz, of course, with that CS lead. We'll keep our eyes on that one. I don't think Froggen's going to let him get a record, especially one that Froggen set himself the other week. But there we are, having a potential gank. No, Jesiz is going to back away. Shook coming down the bottom. Candy Panda low on health down here. Let's see if he goes for it.
If he gets caught by a bubble, he could get taken down. But as long as he dodges the bubble, Candy Panda should be all right.
Oh, got in Yak prison. That's going to be Candy Panda going now. He's going to try and get away from him. Flash comes in. Shook follows it through. And it's Nyph that gets himself first blood.
And they're not over yet. So much damage onto nRated. That's flash and heal burned from Candy Panda in reply to a flash from Shook. So if Shook wants to rinse and repeat, grab himself another kill down in the bottom lane. First blood was secured by Nyph though, so not the ideal target. But regardless, well executed gank. Good bubble from Nyph.
Yeah, double assist as well, of course, don't forget. With the jungler involved, there was a flash used by Shook, but nevertheless, if he gets a secured kill, it works out. Svenskeren quickly going for a counter invade. Knows that Shook is not in and around this area, so he's going to steal away the large wolf gap.
So in terms of the CS numbers, even in the bottom lane, Tabzz will get some time to pull slightly ahead. I want to highlight why Jesiz is ahead of Twisted Fate. Thanks to Orianna's passive of Clockwork Wind-Up, she's got an auto-attack damage modifier that helps her in trades. In addition, you can see how much damage and zoning command attack does. So we do see they're considering a dive, but once Shook shows his face, they're going to back away. So Orianna's always going to do well in the early stages, and once Froggen gets some more items, maybe working towards an Athene's, if he wants to go that route, or rush Morellonomicon, that will help him with his wave clear, that'll help him keep further back and trade somewhat more evenly with Jesiz Orianna.
Freddy sticking with his triple Doran's build in this top lane on Renekton. 2 swords along, of course, with that shield. Despite the changes, he's sticking with it. So it's interesting to see how Freddy goes with this one. Remember, they got that big 100% win record. Did teleport back to the tower as well. Wickd yet to go back, so he's going to hold out. I think he wants to get himself that chalice early on. We'll see whether he goes with the triple Doran's ring, of course, which a lot of people on Lulu have been building. He's missing a lot of CS here. Yeah,
and if memory serves, yesterday Wickd did not actually go that route. He went very early Ionian Boots of Lucidity. Well played by Freddy. And I think Wicked's actually got enough money to pick those boots up if he wants to do a similar sort of build to yesterday. Typical, as we're going to talk about, he's going to grab himself Dawn's rings. I'll bet you any money. 1, 2. Yes, there we go.
He cheated.
He cheated. Yesterday I said triple Doran's, he goes Ionian. Today I said Ionian, he goes triple Doran's. End of the day, there's multiple options. Considering Freddy's got so many Dorans, he needs something to continue spamming Glitter Lancers as well as the additional HP to help out in trades. So we may see a fairly extended laning phase from both of these teams. No one's even made any gestures towards Dragons, and in straight up lanes, it generally means Dragons come later.
Yeah, it's something, honestly, we only see the 3.5 minutes. Dragons maybe once a day at best, whereas, of course, North America, you're generally seeing it every single day. Just different styles, longer laning phases. Svenskeren spotted out by that ward. That's going to give him vision. Of course, Froggen will be well aware of that. Tabzz caught out with the Dark Binding. It's not going to get followed up on, though. Panda was worried about the threat of the bubble from Nyph.
Very smart play from Tabzz. Even though he was caught by the Dark Binding, the Void Ooze just made any sort of engagement difficult. Sven's caught out. Or not.
He's not going to get away unless Froggen flashes. He gets into the gold card. The good wild card follows through. There's good shockwave from Jesiz, defensively used along with that defensive ball. And it saves him for now. Flash used by Froggen as well as the Ghost.
Yeah, so as summoner spells burned across the board, Svenskeren ends up trading flash for flash as far as Froggen is concerned. The reason that's important is if Svenskeren can heal and come back to the middle lane next time Shockwave is up, they can punish Froggen. And they also know Destiny's down. So this should allow SK to either make a play in another lane or possibly even consider making some moves for Dragon if they get an advantage in this bottom lane.
Aggression from Nyph immediately gets a 90 caliber net out of Panda, keeping him out of range, of course. He's going to be losing out on the experiences. 4.11 changes will be coming on those, of course, the minion changes, but then we are on 4.10 still here, while you guys at home may have upgraded this morning. It is all about 4.10, and Wickd trying to keep that pressure on. The Glitterland's doing work on Freddy right now.
Yeah, all props to Freddy. He's got a decent CS advantage over Wickd in this lane. Every time we have caught a glimpse of him, he is playing fairly aggressively, using the sustain from that Cologne to just keep himself relevant. He's obviously got the 6% lifesteal from both of those Dorans. So he's got decent sustain, and there's no real kill threat from Wickd. Freddy has to make a big misplay or get ganked by Shook to run the risk of getting taken out. And for the time being, teams are very, very even. Jesiz is still with a small CS advantage in the mid lane, but it's countered by the fact Svenskeren is slightly behind in the jungle.
Froggen going to try and keep his pressure on Jesiz. He's got to keep him ticking here, and more importantly for Jesiz, of course, every time Froggen goes away, he needs to punish that lane. He needs to take that tower down. We saw it a couple of times. The pressure almost certainly is on Froggen's turret rather than Jesiz. He's being able to keep them away from that one. You can see turret barely touched so far. Bottom lane have hit level 6. Let's see where they go near the thing. The bubble not landing because the dark black shield blocks it out there. But Panda starting to take that range poke now from Tabzz.
Yeah, now that Tabzz and Nyph have hit level 6, the threat of being caught by a bubble into a knock-up is very high. Good flash from Panda.
Well, the wave used, but that flash is going to be on a much longer cooldown. So Alliance will be relaying that information, and Shook, who is down in this bottom area of the map, may actually look to go for a gank here. We're going to get a lovely siren.
Oh, Nyph sounds lovely. We'll have to get Nyph to sing that on stage after the game, I think. But a good attempt. I mean, trading Tidal Wave, which is 110-second cooldown, for a flash, which is around 300 seconds, that's a trade you'll take any day of the week. We've already seen Shook ganking bottom lane. Well, Panda had his flash, and he hasn't returned since. Destiny's almost available. Shook should be able to gank. So if SK push at all in that lane, there's going to be the threat of Froggen jumping in there to join a party.
So CS being gifted across there, the Wolves to Froggen. Maybe he feels there's a bit of a challenge laid down by Pekka yesterday. I'm not too sure if he's going to be quite catching it. And at the moment, Jesiz is looking strong for it. We'll see how it works out between those two mid laners. Froggen, I think he's got his mindset on ganks more than CS, and he'll be looking around to try and go aggressive. Let's have a look at Panda and see what he's building here. Of course, we've seen a number of items. We're expecting the Infinity Edge to be started out by him, but he's got the makings of a Blade of the Rune King.
This is a little bit risky. We'll get to the items in a moment because of the fact Destiny is available. So SK Gaming have got 3 members, but they run the risk of being flanked. There's the Destiny we talked about. There's no tidal wave. So Alliance feeling a little safe, and we need to see who is going to initiate the fight. SK pulled away, so you know, Dragon's slowly resetting. And if Alliance commit to this, they're coming in from 2 flanks. They decide against it because they didn't have tabs.
They're trying to delay, yeah, they're trying to delay. They didn't have tabs there, but it forces SK away nonetheless, so they didn't get that Dragon down. Alliance happy to just hold on in the lanes for a little bit longer. They're going to keep this wave pushing, and now Nyph looking to get onto Candy Panda. That Black Shield's going to have to be so on point from nRated if he is to prevent that.
Yeah, and at this point in time, Candy Panda has now slowly started to fall behind in terms of range. As Tabzz is getting closer to maxing that Bio-Arcane Barrage, he'll have a few seconds where he can out-trade with Candy Panda from a safer distance. And if Candy tries to get in range, Tabzz can use that Void Ooze to basically zone out, prevent anybody, you know, jumping onto him or closing the distance. So it's an interesting lane, and Candy's now slowly falling further behind CS, considering he was ahead for the first 3 or 4 levels.
Well, Fiendish Codex picked up by Wickd, so he's going to get himself a little bit more shield. Hasn't gone for the Athenes yet, doesn't feel the need to just burn through that mana. Happy to just continue. But Freddy, look at this. Different stuff for him as well. Spectral Cowl building into the lane.
Well, with the amount of magic damage from everyone in Alliance, I mean, even Kog'Maw's got magic damage. That's quite a smart pickup. We've also seen top laners rushing Banshee's Veils, not too uncommonly. So bottom lane, Tidal Wave is up. Shook is available. There's no Destiny. So we need to see if Nyph can actually send anybody on a surf ride, because one person can get knocked up, while the other will obviously be shielded by that Black Shield.
Well, Flash Soul Shackles is available for nRated. If he catches it, that's going to be the prison. The bubble catches on Candy Panda, quickly takes that ride. The Ignite was used, but he's forced back.
Yeah, Summoner Heal burned again. So another Tidal Wave plus Ignite in exchange for that Summoner spell. Svenskeren's moving in, but they stood right on top of a ward. Destiny still not up for Froggen. So Alliance focusing Candy Panda and nRated, trying to get Tabzz ahead as quickly as possible, and it is working out. The pressure and the presence from their aggressive play means Candy Panda is falling behind.
Oh, I think Jesiz would like nothing more than to steal those eighths away, but instead he was forced to back off. Froggen shows himself. This bottom lane still is the focus. Remember, Destiny not up just yet, but it will be shortly. Jeziz's job is going to be to keep him grounded, make sure he can't get away. He's going to have the only way to do that is to catch him with a shockwave as he tries to Destiny away.
I do want to highlight the pre-game video where Jesiz is like, look, it's Alliance. I'm not bothered. I play against people of Froggen's caliber all the time in Challenger and in solo queue. And he's got a CS advantage over Froggen. Froggen has tried to roam with TF, not been successful yet. And when we... Oh, Candy Panda with another bubble. He must be very thirsty today. When we go back to last year, let's see if Froggen can get Jesiz.
Oh, he's going to get the Destiny. That's going to give him full vision as he goes through the bush. Shook comes around again. Shockwave pulls Froggen back, but Jesiz is not getting out of this one. Froggen gets the kill. Has to flash away. The danger of Svenskeren nearby forces that.
Oh, they're going to go on nRated now next.
And you can see nRated taking all the damage. Tabzz got 1 or 2 more hits. Flashes out and gets away with so little health.
So getting another kill on the board. This time it is Shook plus Froggen that run down Jesiz. Gonna steal the buff away, and he has a 2-on-2.
Svenskeren's in all sorts of trouble. He did get the blue, but I'm not sure he's going to get away with this one. Wickd comes around. The basic attack should be enough. Now they turn their attention to Freddy. Froggen joins the party. Gold card pulled. Stun goes down. Wild card's through. Froggen gets himself the kill. It's a double for Alliance.
4-0. I'm not quite sure why SK were going for that invade. They had just lost their mid laner. Svenskeren pulls Freddy down from that top lane, and they just get surrounded by Shook and Froggen. End up giving up 2 additional kills. What was looking like a very even, very close laning phase, with actually probably a CS advantage in favor of SK, has now gone completely the opposite direction, thanks to Alliance ensuring they punish the invades and they're creating opportunities. Shook's ganks have been significantly more impactful than Svenskeren's ganks. And Sven needs to get in the game if he wants to make up this gold deficit.
Well, SK Gaming are going to go straight in for the Dragon here. Of course, Destiny was down. Everything cooled down for Alliance. So this may be SK being able to steal this one. Shook's going to try and get in and smite it away. He has got it available if he was to sneak in, but he's spotted out. That's going to be... SK is going to get the catch on towards it. Shook has to back away. Teleport used by Wickd. A little bit late on the party this time around. The Void Ooze and the wave catches beautifully from Nyph there. The bubble on towards. Jesiz gets him down. One more shot. Candy Panda goes down. nRated caught out. He gets stunned down. It's a double for Tabzz, and Alliance again get themselves 3 more kills.
3 for 0. They steal the blue buff potentially, and They managed to get, all of those kills onto Froggen and to Tabzz. They lost the Dragon, yes, but in the big picture, they're going to come out very, very happy. The gold on their carries is absolutely massive. SK Gaming was somewhat split. They wanted to focus down Shook, but the problem they had, they didn't realize that Tabzz and Nyph were coming up from the river. So because of that fact, it just meant that Nyph was able to knock people up and set up a bunch more kills.
Yeah, of course, 2 ultimates used on Shook as well before that fight, trying to desperately to catch on towards him. Bottom tower goes down, Tabzz took that. Of course, you saw Freddy taking the top turret down as well. Tabzz actually very vocal in the 4.10 patch notes, talking about how, if your enemy is going for an Infinity Edge, you have to force them out of the lane. He's been doing that the whole game. Candy Panda still only got that pickaxe, along with the Berserker Greaves, yet to build anything else, while Tabzz, of course, going for the Trinity Falls first.
Yeah, he should be able to finish that, and he just did a moment ago. Very impressive play from Tabzz and Nyph. They played passive until they were level 4 or level 5. And as soon as they hit level 4, Nyph just kept landing key bubbles onto Candy Panda, and he was always at low HP. Now keep in mind, there's no flash on Candy Panda. Shook doesn't have the support of the rest of his lanes, but here comes Froggen.
nRated in trouble, gold card pulled, he does stop the stun. I'm not sure if it's enough though. Froggen comes around, a good kick from Svenskeren should save them, but no, Shook actually throwing down his ultimate. They want to catch on towards this one. Have they got the damage? Oh, what a beautiful gold card on Svenskeren. Wild card thrown through. Svenskeren gives himself up as his life. Sacrificial lamb to save Candy Panda and nRated.
Again, Alliance just force a kill. They set their sights on a target and they run that target down. With the exception of the first Destiny from Froggen not getting a kill, every single one since then has worked out in his favor. And it just feels like every time SK make a move around the map, Alliance are there to counter it. They've always got a counterplay in mind, and they've built themselves up a 4,000 gold lead before the 20-minute mark.
It's a big, big lead, as you mentioned. 8-0 as well. Alliance are in danger of steamrolling over SK Gaming as they move towards this red buff area. Freddy quickly alerted, and he's back in hell away from that top turret. It is another inner outer turret that they are aiming for, and Alliance are going to take this one with ease.
Look at the vision that Alliance have got on the map. Part of the reason they were so confident in running up through that river, they knew if and where people were going to be, where Jesiz was running. They've got vision in the bottom half, they've got vision in the top half. The entire Alliance team has made an informed decision to shove this lane down, and SK are a little late to reply. Jesiz is nowhere there, nRated's nowhere there. Alliance can take this if they focus it down.
They may be able to get the middle turret, Jesiz, but that's going to be an inner for Alliance. The bottom turret still being pushed, and Alliance are pinging it. They're saying, they're still down here. You know what? We can still keep going.
Candy Panda hasn't started to recall yet. Jesiz has evened up. So it's going to be 2 towers for 2 in the big picture, but of course that's 2 towers in 1 lane. So an inner turret is always more valuable. Alliance also may get positioning on this mid turret from SK if they shove with a wave. We need to see how heavily they commit, because it looks like SK can get in place to defend.
Jesiz does walk past the ward, gives him vision. Froggen's Destiny was available in a second's time. Shook going to get caught out with the Dark Binder. It's just to stop him backing away. Jesiz actually taking a look towards that one. He did pull the shockwave on Shook last time around and didn't manage to do enough damage. He simply hasn't got the burst damage just yet.
No, not enough ability power. And, that shockwave, it is a game-changing spell if they, hit the right people, and that's it on Froggen.
It's a good land, but immediately flashed out of by Froggen. Dark Binding was wide of the mark. Of course, Froggen able to just stroll away.
Yeah, that looked all too easy for Froggen. As soon as the Dark Binding was coming in, he lined up his flash and very easily repositioned to ensure that Skillshot didn't connect. And Froggen was down 20-25 CS earlier. Now it's only 10. He's made up that deficit, and that's discounting the tower kills as well as the 2 kills and 4 assists that he's grabbed.
He's made up quite a bit, let's put it that way. He's put himself very much in the lead in that matchup between the 2.
Hourglass already completed.
Infinity Edge now picked up by Candy Panda. Much needed item for the AD carry as SK look to start grouping now. Of course, Dragon up in a minute and a half. We'll see whether Alliance do manage to push any objectives. We can see Froggen is going towards the top wave. He's going to clear that out. Shove some pressure on towards that top lane. Has got Destiny available if he needs to get down there. Wickd, meanwhile, his teleport's available shortly, but he's just sticking around with the rest of Alliance in the mid lane.
Yeah, we need to see how it works. Look at the damage on the Candy Panda.
Candy Panda taking some big, big hits there. That's going to be Alliance taking this middle turret. SK not able to react. They've got to be careful. They're going too deep on that one. Tabzz taking the kick. Ace and a hole coming through. This is going to turn the damage back around. There's Froggen coming straight in. Svenskeren goes down. Shook gets the kill on towards him. Shook goes deep on that one. They can't get on towards Candy Panda. Wildcard thrown out. Froggen tries to catch it. Not going to get on there in the end, but it is. But Candy Panda finally dropped into the ultimate of Tabzz from long range, and it's a 3-for-0 40 seconds until Dragon. It's more the mid turret they've got to worry about.
Svenskeren jumps into the middle of Alliance without really having the full support of the rest of his team. Jesiz didn't even have Shockwave for the fight, catches Nyph, but it's not enough. The rest of Alliance, they're on the tower.
Tabzz gets him down. That's another kill. Tabzz starting to rack these up now. If you've got him in your fantasy points, he is scoring like gold does for you. That's going to be another turret going down, Alliance. Now they can take this bottom turret as well. There's a big wave there for Froggen. They're just taking everything from SK. 12-0 in kills. Not a single reply from SK Gaming. And it's a 20-minute surrender, ladies and gentlemen. Froggen is surprised, as everyone else, as SK Gaming are decimated by the top of the table. 14 wins, 2 losses, Alliance.
Unbelievable performance from Alliance. Their composition always had the ability to flank and to gank with Evelyn and Twisted Fate. And they didn't care about Renekton or Lee Sin. They punished, and they just got in the faces of SK. Not a single death on the side of Alliance.
108 in the top lane, 404 for Tabzz. Was it 4? Trying to look for 305 for Froggen. Just dominant performances overall. A 108 from Nyph as well. Those bubbles, key. Always on point. Of course, the wave following through, they caught 3 members in that mid lane. SK Gaming just had no reply. None
whatsoever. SK were outplayed in the laning phase. Their strongest suit, as far as SK are concerned, is their mid to late game map movements and team-based decisions. They were never allowed to get there because they were punished so heavily by Twisted Fate, because they were punished so heavily by their Evelyn. And every single time Alliance made a move, they got a kill. There was one gank where it didn't work, and that was trying to punish Svenskeren for an invade. But every other time, top lane, river, jungle, it just all went Alliance's way.
And you know,